The Impostor's Diary by Edwina Longbottom, Prologue, The Crash.
The rain was biblical. It pounded the asphalt like a tantrum, hammering the roof of the black rental car as it skidded along the mountain highway. The windshield wipers clawed at the glass, useless against the torrent. Visibility zero, speed too high. The driver leaned forward, knuckles white on the wheel. He shouldn't have been on the road. He shouldn't have taken the car. But he had no choice, not with them coming. He didn't even know who they were. All he knew was the panic. The way it had bloomed in his chest when he'd found the email that morning, unsigned, encrypted, just one line. They know who you are. Leave now. He hadn't packed. He hadn't said goodbye. Just grabbed the keys and driven into the storm. What have I done? The turn came too fast. The tires shrieked as they hit the shoulder, fishtailing. The car bucked, slammed sideways into the guardrail. Metal screamed. The front axle snapped as the car catapulted off the edge. Silence. Then the crash. Glass exploded inward. The world flipped. Airbags deployed like fists. For a moment, there was only the groaning sound of twisted metal and the taste of copper in his mouth. Then came the pain. It started in his chest, like a vice tightening around his ribs. But there was no time to process it. The car had landed on its side. The engine hissed. A thin ribbon of smoke curled upward from the crumpled hood. Something was leaking oil or coolant or both, and it was only a matter of time before flames, a flicker, then a surge. He kicked at the door. Nothing. Tried the passenger side. Jammed. His hands scrabbled at the seatbelt. He coughed thick smoke clawing at his throat and yanked the belt free. He dropped down onto the roof, now acting as the floor, and crawled toward the backseat window. It had shattered in the impact. Shards of glass caught the light as he punched through what remained and pulled himself into the rain. Outside, the air was oxygen again. The storm drowned the fire before it could spread. He staggered away from the wreck, coughing, dripping, shaking. He was alive. And then he saw the other car. 20 meters down the incline, wedged between two trees. A silver sedan, its front smashed like an accordion. He hadn't even seen it in the crash had it been behind him or in front. He stumbled toward it. The driver's door was ajar. He reached it, peered inside. A man, early 40s, slumped forward over the steering wheel, neck at an impossible angle. The impact had killed him instantly. No airbag, no movement, no pulse. Oh God. He turned to run. Then he stopped. Something on the passenger seat caught his eye. A leather-bound notebook. Next to it, a wallet. No blood, no personal belongings strewn. Just organized. Like someone had carefully placed them there. Drawn by some force he didn't understand, he picked up the wallet and flipped it open. A name, a photo. He froze. It was him. Not actually him. But the man looked close enough. Same cheekbones, same hair. Different eyes, but not enough to matter. This can be real. He opened the notebook next. First page.
If you were reading this, I'm already dead, which means you were either very lucky or very, very screwed. He sat there for a long time, hunched under the rain, staring at the pages. The man's name was Simon Trellick. According to the IDs in the wallet, Simon was a consultant, London-based, no next of kin listed. There was a business card with a number and a company logo he didn't recognize. There were airline tickets to Berlin and Zurich departures a week apart, and there was a room key. Hotel Velasquez, room 608. He blinked.
This isn't happening. This is fate? The idea struck like lightning. Simon was dead. No one had seen the crash. No one knew. And Simon looked like him. It was a 1 in a million shot. But if it worked, if he stepped into Simon's life, maybe he could escape whoever was chasing him. He turned back toward the burning rental. His own wallet, his phone, his everything, gone in the flames. I don't exist anymore. He looked again at Simon's face in the driver's license. Close enough. He pocketed the wallet. Then he slipped the notebook into his coat. The walk to the main road took an hour. The rain never let up. He flagged down a delivery truck, lied about a breakdown, hitched a ride to the nearest train station. No questions, just pity. That night, he checked into Hotel Velasquez under the name Simon Trellick, room 608. He turned the key slowly, half expecting something explosive. But the room was just a room. Crisp linen, minibar, a suitcase already there. He showered, changed into Simon's spare clothes. He sat on the edge of the bed and opened the notebook again.
Day 14. They were getting closer. I know it. I hear the van every night now, same time, same corner. I pretend to sleep, but I listen. I count the clicks, the static. If they rewatching, they haven't moved in yet, but they will. He turned the page. Day 15. I saw her again, red coat, second floor of the archive. She pretends not to notice me, but I know she's cataloging everything I do. She's their link. I need to cut her off before she reports.
What the hell did Simon get into? He flipped to the lost entry. Day 22, I made the drop. If they find it before the courier does, everything falls apart. I've packed the backup drives. Passport is hidden. If anything happens to me, this notebook is all that's left. A knock on the door. He jumped, closed the notebook, waited. A second knock. Softer this time. He crossed to the door and opened it a crack. A woman. Dark hair, red coat. She smiled. You were early. Before he could speak, she stepped inside like she belonged. Chapter 1 Assumption.
Day 23. I've taken precautions. The safe house is compromised, but they won't expect me to double back through my old life. That's where it began. That's where it ends. He closed the notebook slowly. The clock on the hotel wall ticked softly in the silence. Room 608 felt frozen in time, too clean, too still, like a set built for someone else's life. The kind of life he didn't belong in, but he was in it now. He walked to the full-length mirror by the wardrobe, eyes tracing the reflection. A sharp navy suit, slightly long in the sleeves. Simon's tailored coat. Simon's shoes, size 10 instead of his usual 11. He could feel the pinch in the toe box every time he moved. He leaned in closer. Same cheekbones, same nose, different eyes. His were green. Simon's had been brown. But most people didn't notice eye color unless you gave them a reason to.
Will anyone notice? What if they ask me something I can answer? He turned from the mirror and opened Simon's suitcase. Inside were clothes folded with surgical precision. White shirts, black socks, a navy blue tie coiled like a serpent, 2 burner phones, one unboxed and charging, the other still sealed, and a slim black laptop with a cracked webcam cover. There was no toothbrush, no cologne, no human details. Simon Trellick traveled like a ghost. He lifted the laptop. No fingerprint reader. It booted to a password screen. He tried Simon123, London, safe house, nothing. He left it on the desk and turned to the second drawer. At the bottom, beneath a sheaf of printed documents and a notebook identical to the one in his coat, was a passport. He opened it. Simon Trellick, British citizen, issued 2020, expiry 2030. He examined the photo. Brown eyes, neutral expression. He tilted his head to match the angle. Close enough. He slid it into the inside pocket of his blazer and went to the minibar. Cracked open a vodka mini and drank it straight, the burn making his eyes water. He needed to feel something. Right now, he felt like vapor. Gore. At 10:42 a.m., the knock came again. Not the woman this time. A younger man, early 30s, wiry, sharply dressed, and carrying a laptop bag, stood at the door. You must be Simon, the man said smoothly. I'm Ellis. We were already late for the orientation. He blinked. Orientation? Sorry, he said, voice steady despite the fear bubbling inside. Didn't realize that was today. Ellis smiled. Happens to the best of us. You've been off the grid for a while, haven't you? He nodded once. Ellis didn't wait for an invitation. He turned and walked briskly down the hallway. Play along. Find out who Simon was before someone else does. He followed. They took a black Mercedes with darkened windows. Ellis talked the whole way. I assume you already got the Tier 2 clearance? I was told the German server logs came through last night. But if not, don't worry, HR will fast-track it. He nodded vaguely. That's good, right. And you've kept everything encrypted, I hope? He hesitated. Of course, he said. Good man. Between the Zurich drop and the data escrow you left in Tallinn, you were probably the most paranoid analyst in the building. Tallinn? Zurich? What the hell kind of analyst was he? Ellis chuckled. Don't look so serious. It's not like you were back from the dead. The building they pulled up to was old on the outside, red brick, ivy-covered, like a museum but sleek and modern on the inside. Security glass, biometric scanners, fluorescent lights that buzzed just a fraction too loudly. The receptionist scanned his new ID without a blink. Mr. Trellick, welcome back. He almost corrected her. Almost. Ellis waved him forward, past the atrium and up 2 flights of stairs. Briefing room's through here, he said. It'll just be Dr. L today. She requested the meeting be private. Dr. L, that name. It had been in the notebook. Don't tell her your truth. She'll use it. He took a deep breath and stepped through the door. She was waiting for him at the far end of a sleek, windowless room. Tall, elegant, dark eyes and silver-streaked hair pulled into a low knot. She didn't smile. "Simon," she said. He sat. She folded her hands on the table. "You've been off-grid for 3 weeks? That wasn't part of the plan." "I had to take precautions," he said carefully. "There were issues." She nodded. "The leak? Possibly. You left no trace?" "No." Another nod. Then she slid a folder toward him. "Recap what you left behind in Berlin. I need the raw locations, not just the metadata." He blinked. "Metadata? What metadata?" He opened the folder. Inside were grainy stills surveillance footage. One of them was Simon, him leaving what looked like a post office. Another showed the back of a woman in a red coat. "You can speak freely here," Dr. L said. "This room is clean." "I understand," he said. "But I'd prefer to write it out." She stared at him for a beat too long. Then she pushed a notepad across the table. "Old habits," she said. "Fine, but don't take too long. Our window for recovery is closing." He nodded and picked up the pen. The first words came slowly, like dragging rusted metal across concrete. "Locker. Tiergarten Station. Key 78112. Documents inside a blue folder." He paused. She raised an eyebrow. "Go on." He wrote 2 more locations completely invented and underlined the word encrypted. She read them in silence. Then she closed the folder. "Good," she said. "We'll debrief you tomorrow. Until then, stay visible. And for God's sake, don't change your walk again. You're limping on the wrong leg." She noticed. "She's watching everything." He nodded, rose, and left. Back in the hotel room, he locked the door and sat with his back against it, heart pounding like it wanted to explode from his chest. What the hell have I walked into? Simon Trellick wasn't just an analyst. He was something else, something much worse. And now he was supposed to be him. He opened the notebook again.
If she suspects you, she'll start with kindness, then guilt, then fear. Don't give her a reason to move to stage 3. A phone buzzed from the suitcase. Unknown number. A message popped up on the screen. Did you tell her everything? Chapter 2, The House. Day 25. I made the mistake of going home. The air smelled like bleach. Nothing had been moved, but everything felt touched. They were there, not to kill, just to see. And now they've seen too much.
He didn't sleep that night. The message, "Did you tell her everything?" kept replaying in his head like a stuck record. No name, no signature, just implication. Someone was watching. Someone knew he wasn't Simon. He paced the carpet in room 608 until 4 a.m., then finally made a decision. He needed to go deeper. Learn more. Not through Ellis, not through Dr. L, through Simon's original life, his home. He opened the slim black wallet again. Tucked behind the passport was a folded property card from a key fob. 142 Sharrow Mews, NW3, Northwest London. If he was going to survive this lie, he needed to live it. At 10 a.m. sharp, he hailed a cab and gave the address. The driver said nothing. The streets grew narrower as they drove, from central boulevards to boutique-lined lanes, until finally they entered a neighborhood of quiet wealth Georgian townhouses, flower boxes, polished brass knockers. Sharrow Mews was a dead-end alley of converted stables. Clean. Sterile. It smelled of new money and old secrets. Number 142 was tucked at the bend White Fay, navy door, no bell. He stepped out, nodded at the driver, and walked to the door. The key slid in easily, too easily. He paused, hand on the knob. What if someone's inside? He twisted it anyway. Inside, the house was perfect. Not cozy, not cluttered, perfect. A long hallway led to an open-plan lounge, exposed beams, oak floors, floor-to-ceiling windows with spotless sheer curtains. The kitchen was minimalist steel and black marble. No photos, no mail, no coffee stains. There was no soul in it. He walked through slowly, trying to picture Simon here, the man in the notebook, the paranoid traveler. The man who left notebooks for strangers. The bookshelves were curated only first editions, mostly Le Car, a single pistol manual, titles in German and French, a locked case in the bottom shelf. He crouched and tugged on it. It didn't budge. He stood and checked the drawers in the sideboard. Pens, currency in several denominations, a bottle of Lafroig, nothing with fingerprints.
Day 19. If they enter, they'll find nothing. I scrubbed every surface, sanitized every trace of who I was. If they want identity, they'll have to build one for me, and they'll build it wrong.
The bedroom was upstairs. The bed was military tucked. 2 pillows, still wrapped in cellophane. A wall-mounted monitor faced the headboard. The closet held only suits. 5 identical. Shoes lined in precise order. A fireproof safe bolted behind a false panel. It required both a code and a keycard. He didn't have either. The bathroom was bare except for a razor and a single unopened toothbrush. Who the hell lived like this? He turned to leave. That's when he noticed the mirror. Not the one above the sink, but the full-body mirror mounted on the inside of the bedroom door. It had a bevel that looked off, thicker on one edge, as if it wasn't mounted flush. He leaned in, tapped the glass. It sounded hollow. He ran his fingers along the edge until he found a groove invisible unless you were looking. A click. The mirror popped open. Behind it, a narrow space, a hidden compartment. And inside it, boxes, drives, Polaroids, a second gun, and passports. Dozens of them. All Simon Trellick, but each with different birth dates, different eye colors, different nationalities. This wasn't just a cover. This was a system. He pulled one box forward. It contained old mobile phones, burners, each one labeled by date and location. A stack of SIM cards sat like teeth beside them. He opened another, USBs, paper maps, a set of worn gloves, a hardbound journal with embossed letters, field observations. He thumbed it open. First page.
Repeat identities degrade the mask. Never enter from the same point twice. If found, erase the mirror room, burn, relocate, rewrite.
Footsteps. Outside. He froze. Then just a passerby. But the spike of adrenaline left his hands shaking. He replaced everything and gently shut the mirror. Then he noticed something behind the bed frame. A faint glow. He crept closer, moved the frame slightly aside. Embedded in the wall was a red-lit camera, smaller than a matchbox, watching the room. Wires fed behind the skirting board. He yanked the bed back into place. Simon was watching himself, or being watched, or both. There was no way to know if the camera was live. He had to assume it was. He left the room quickly, locking the door behind him. Back in the street, his phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Nice visit. Old ghosts keeping you warm. He stopped walking, looked up, nothing. No cars, no pedestrians watching. Who was this? The reply typed itself before he thought it through. What do you want? The response came in less than 10 seconds. You were not Simon, but you were trying. That's enough for now. Are you mature?
Day 26. They've seen me, but they haven't stopped me, which means they were either letting me walk into the trap or I am the trap. Chapter 3. Shadows in the Mirror. Day 27. The mirror moved last night. Not a sound, just shifted half an inch like it breathed. I checked the compartment untouched, but I don't trust untouched. That's what they want. Silence. So clean you question your own memory.
He woke up in a cold sweat, heart jackhammering against his ribs. The dream was already fading, but the sensation remained, someone standing over him. Someone watching. He sat up in bed in room 608. The bedside lamp flicked on with a trembling hand. 3:42 a.m. He listened. Nothing but the soft whir of air conditioning and the dull hum of a fridge compressor. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. He crossed to the mirror again, the full-length one in the hotel wardrobe. It looked normal, unmoved. But then again, so had Simon's mirror in the house. What if they've already been in here? What if they rewatching? He crouched, checked the seams. Nothing hidden, no bevels, no secret compartments. He pulled the notebook from under the mattress.
If they enter your safe zones without alert, they've graduated. That means the next move is displacement. Subtle, always. Never a break-in, never a camera. Just your toothbrush moved 2 inches, your socks folded inside out, a photo reversed on the shelf. Enough to trigger doubt.
He went downstairs for breakfast, tried to act normal. The hotel lobby was unusually quiet. A man in a maintenance uniform walked by with a trolley and glanced at him for 1 second too long. Was that normal? He returned the gaze. The man looked away. Not normal. He needed out of the hotel. Needed a public space. Noise. Surveillance that wasn't being controlled by someone like Simon. He spent the rest of the day in the British Library, CAF, sipping black coffee and pretending to read through one of Simon's printed dossiers. But he wasn't reading. He was watching. 3 times he spotted the same man in a charcoal coat pass by. Not once did he enter the CAF. Not once did he make eye contact. That night, He returned to Sharrow Mews. He told himself he was just going to check the mirror room again. Instead, he stayed. The bedroom still smelled faintly of bleach and cedar oil. The place had a vacuumed, hermetically sealed feel. Even the bed looked untouched. He watched the mirror. Nothing. He lay down, clothes still on, and stared at the ceiling for hours, waiting for a noise, a shadow, anything. Just past midnight, he heard it. A creak. Not floorboards, not wind. It came from the closet. Grr. He moved silently, crouching near the bed, eyes locked on the closet door. The gap under it revealed no light, no shadow. Still he waited. Another creak. Softer this time. More deliberate. He rose and crossed the room slowly. No sound now. He turned the knob, opened the door. Darkness. He flicked the light on. Empty. He stared at the suits on the rack. Something was wrong. One coat was reversed on the hanger inside out. He hadn't touched them. Displacement. He reached for the back of the closet, pushing the suits aside. Nothing there. Then he looked up. A ceiling panel was ajar, barely half an inch. His pulse quickened. He dragged a chair over and climbed. The panel lifted easily. Inside, darkness and fiberglass. And something else. A camera. Unplugged. Taped to the rafter with surgical precision. Not broadcasting, just recording. They've been watching from inside. He dropped back down, closed the panel, and reassembled the closet. Then he turned to the mirror. Still closed. Still perfect. But the urge was uncontrollable. He opened it again. Everything was in place, but the Polaroids had been disturbed, rearranged. The top photo showed him now, in the library caf.
Day 27 continued. If they show you yourself, it means they've attested your reactions. If they let you find the camera, the test is over. They're rewatching a different variable now. The real game has begun.
He packed a go bag from Simon's Supplies, burner phone, gun, one passport, a wad of Swiss francs. He checked into a different hotel across the river, using the name from a false ID, Eric Mandel, and left the rest of the passports locked in a locker at Paddington Station. At 3 a.m., he turned on the burner. No messages. He stared at it for 10 minutes. Then a single line appeared. Very clever, Eric. Now what? Chapter 4. The Woman.
Day 28. She approached without hesitation. That's what frightened me. There was no uncertainty in her eyes, only recognition, which means she believes I am him, or she knows I'm not and doesn't care. Either way, I'm compromised.
He spotted her again outside the library. Red coat, same cut, same hair, no umbrella, just standing still as rain dusted her shoulders like static. She wasn't looking at him, but she was facing the door he would walk through. No phone, no book, no distraction. He almost turned away, but if he ran, the game would escalate, and he didn't know the rules yet. He stepped forward. She looked up and smiled. There you are, she said. He froze. She approached and linked arms with him like they were lovers meeting AF weeks apart. She smelled of bergamot and something sharper gunmetal, maybe. Nice of you to finally reply, she said. He said nothing. She tugged him toward the street. They walked in silence for 3 blocks. He let her lead. At the 4th turn, she stopped under an awning and leaned in close. Her eyes were cold, her lips barely moved. Don't speak. Just nod if you understand. He nodded. I don't know how far you've gone, she whispered, but you've broken protocol. Twice. He kept his face blank. You didn't send the verification token after Berlin. You missed the Zurich handover. She thinks I'm him. But I can fake details I don't know. I need to ask, she said, her voice even. Are you in contact with? He hesitated, then nodded slowly. Her gaze narrowed. She sent you to the house, didn't she? And you opened the mirror? He gave a slow, shallow nod. She tilted her head. I was right about you, she said. You've gone rogue. She stepped away, turned, and started walking again, knock in.
Day 28, supplemental. The red coat woman is no longer observing. She's participating. That changes everything. Now I need to ask, was she ever an external agent? Or was she the architect of this spiral all along?
She led him to a coffee shop in Camden. Crowded, noisy, a deliberate choice. Easy to talk without being overheard or easy to die unnoticed. She ordered 2 black Americanos and sat across from him in a corner booth. No aliases today, she said. I want the real story. You owe me that. He kept his eyes on her, mind racing. Tell me what you know about the Berlin leak, she said. I need more specifics, he replied cautiously. She frowned. Don't play bureaucrat, just give me the map. A map? Of what? He leaned forward. Give me a name to cross-reference. Simon, she said dryly. Start there. She wasn't bluffing. She knew. He didn't flinch. Just said, Simon's dead. Her expression didn't change. She stirred her coffee once, twice, then sipped. I figured as much, she said quietly. But I had to be sure. His hand froze on the table. She placed a flash drive between them. This has what you came for. Zurich, London, and the third site. Don't open it near L. She's monitoring everything again. Why are you giving me this? He asked. Because Simon trusted me. And you trust me? I don't, she said. But I trust patterns, and you were doing the exact same thing he would have done. She stood. 2 rules, she added. Don't disappear yet, and don't trust anyone who hasn't tried to kill you. Then she walked out. Back in his temporary hotel, he stared at the flash drive on the table. He didn't plug it in, not yet. Instead, he turned to the notebook and thumbed to the next blank page. He needed to anchor himself. Writing helped. He pulled the pen from the inside pocket of his coat and began.
Day 29. She gave me the map. She knows Simon is dead. She didn't flinch. Either she's the best liar I've ever met, or she's telling the truth, and I'm the liar now. And maybe I like it. No sign of entry. He returned to the mirror house that evening. Something in him wanted to check just once whether the drive triggered anything. Nothing obvious. No sign of entry. But as he walked upstairs, he stopped at the bookshelf and opened the locked glass cabinet using a screwdriver from the kitchen. Inside, 2 framed photos. Both were Simon, but in one he had a different face, the same posture, the same suit, but a different man entirely. Below it, in neat handwriting, Simon Trellick Helsinki variant.
Multiple Simons, multiple identities. This was never just one man. He checked the safe again, still locked. Then, behind the photo, he found a scrap of paper taped to the wood. A passcode, 7381 Lux. He returned to the safe, keyed it in, and inserted the keycard he'd taken from the library dossier. The lock released. Inside, 3 external hard drives, a leather pouch, and a phone with no SIM. He took the phone and powered it on. Only one app was installed, a blank map. As he moved, a blue dot began to blink, as if waiting for activation. Then a message appeared. Welcome back, Simon. All paths converge in Luxembourg. Chapter 5, The Switch.
Day 30. I used to think identity was a fixed point, something solid you built a life around, but it's just a costume, one you forget you were wearing until someone rips it off, or hands you a better one.
He booked the ticket to Luxembourg under the name Jens Varga, one of the identities tucked away in Simon's mirror room. The woman at the ticket counter barely glanced at the forged passport. Her nails were red, her eyes glazed. No one questioned him. No one ever questioned him anymore. He didn't know if that terrified him more or thrilled him. He boarded the train that evening. In the quiet hum of the first-class cabin, he stared at his reflection in the window. The motion of the train made it ripple like water. Who was this man now? Jens Varga? Simon Trellick? No one. Just before the train crossed the channel, he opened the leather pouch from the mirror room. Inside, a diamond ring, a torn photograph of a bridge, and a folded note in code. A cipher. Simon must have used frequently. It repeated odd patterns. 325, 144. He tried pairing it with the notebook entries. No match. But then something clicked. The words aligned when laid over the diary's date numbers. It formed a phrase. She is the key to the terminal switch. She. Red coat? Or someone else? His thoughts spiraled. He dozed off near Metz. When he woke, his burner phone was vibrating in his coat. New message. The bridge is not in the photo. It's in the name. Meet me at Vianden Castle. Come alone. Vianden Castle stood like a stone crown above the river Au. Our moonlight turned its towers into jagged teeth. He climbed the cobbled path slowly, feeling watched the entire way. When he reached the entrance gate, it was open. Not a soul around, just a red glow coming from the guard's chamber. Inside, a laptop sat open on a stone desk. On the screen, a live feed, the mirror room. Someone was there now, back turned, hood up, typing. The figure turned slowly toward the camera. Simon? Alive, or someone wearing Simon's face. He's alive. I was wrong. I didn't take a dead man's life. I stole a living one. Then the screen went black. And another message flashed across it. Stop digging. You are not the only switch. No more.
Day 30 continued. When the mirror reflects itself, you no longer know which face is real. I see myself in strangers now, and worse, I see strangers in me. He fled the castle, no pursuit, no contact, but the foundation of his lie was cracking. He needed answers. He needed to confront someone who had built this architecture of identities, and that meant going back to Dr. L.
Her office had changed. The nameplate was gone. The receptionist replaced. But he gave his name Simon Trellick, and the receptionist blinked twice before silently pressing a button. Seconds later, a new man appeared. British accent, perfect suit, the kind of man who kept secrets for governments. This way, Mr. Trellick. He followed without a word. They passed down a corridor not in the building's blueprints he knew because Simon had annotated them in his notebook. At the end, a steel door. Inside, Dr. L waiting. No desk, just chairs, monitors mounted on the wall. She gestured for him to sit. Tell me what you saw in Luxembourg. I saw Simon. She didn't flinch. Did he speak? No, then it wasn't him. He stared at her. You were sure? There are 6 assets that use the Trellick mask. The real Simon has been missing for months. Why didn't you tell me? I didn't know which one you were yet. I'm not even the only imposter. I'm not even the best one. She tapped the monitor. It showed footage of the bridge and the torn photograph. Only now it was intact. Color, vibrant. Then it flicked to infrared. There was a figure crossing, wearing his clothes. I believe someone has made a copy of you, she said. And worse, they've done it better than we anticipated. He leaned forward. Then tell me who I am. She smiled for the first time. That's the fun part, she said. We were all trying to figure that out.
Day 31. I am the copy of a copy, a mask placed over another mask, but for now the skin fits, and the mirror at last does not flinch. Chapter 6. The Therapy Session. Day 32. If your mask begins to crack, visit the therapist. That's what Simon wrote. Not because therapy helps, but because it hides the truth under the ritual of care. You talk to her and forget to talk to yourself. That's how they keep the loop spinning.
He returned to the same therapy office Simon had visited in an earlier entry. The brass plaque beside the door was discreet. Dr. L. Morin, Cognitive Integration Specialist. The hallway was antiseptic white, and the carpet absorbed every footfall like secrets. A woman opened the door at precisely 11 a.m., mid-40s, poised, warm smile. Soft curls framing unreadable eyes. Simon, she said, you look well. Come in. He stepped into a room painted in muted earth tones designed for safety. A single couch, a low chair, no desk, no clocks. She gestured to the couch. He sat. She took the chair across from him and folded her hands. So she said gently, where shall we begin today? Play the part. Don't overperform. I've been thinking about the mirror, he said. About the way it reflects, not just how I look, but how I'm looked at. She tilted her head slightly. Go on. I'm starting to wonder if I've ever been real, or if I've always been someone playing the part of Simon. She smiled gently. You're remembering again. That's good. He nodded once, feigning revelation. Maybe. Do you recall the lost memory we unlocked? About the archive? He froze for a beat. No, he lied. That's okay, she said. Sometimes memory resists structure. But that's what we were here for. Integration. She's not trying to expose me. She's trying to program me. She reached into a drawer behind her and retrieved a small metronome. She set it on the table between them and started it ticking. Tick, tick, tick. The rhythmic sound filled the space like a second heartbeat. I want you to focus on the sound, she said softly. And tell me the first thing that comes to mind when I say, the bridge. He pictured the photo again. The torn half. The castle. He said, my hands were covered in blood. She blinked. A brief flicker. Whose blood? I don't know. She leaned forward. But you were there? I think so. Describe it. The bridge was empty. The water below was black. Still, like something waiting. Her hand twitched. Not writing, recording. Good, she said. That aligns. Aligns with what? Our lost session. I thought I didn't remember our lost session. You didn't, she said. But you were echoing it perfectly. I'm not guessing. I'm repeating. I've done this before. I want to try something different, she said. Close your eyes. Breathe in slowly. He obeyed. Tick, tick, tick. Now describe the other you. He didn't respond. Simon, she repeated gently. The other Simon. The one you see in the mirror. He kept his eyes closed. I see confidence, he said slowly. I see control. Does he scare you? No, he lied. Does he want to replace you? Yes. Do you want him to? Silence. Then, maybe. The ticking slowed. He opened his eyes. The room had darkened, lights dimmed automatically. She stood. That's enough for today. You reprogressing. He rose carefully. As he turned toward the door, she added, Next time, bring the journal. I know you've been hiding it. He paused. She smiled. You always hide it, but not from me. He didn't reply.
Day 32 continued. Dr. L is trying to repair something I no longer want fixed. The mask fits now. The fracture is the foundation. To heal would be to erase who I become.
Back outside, he walked quickly, weaving through the midday crowd. He stopped near a fountain, checked behind him. No tails. Then he opened his coat and removed the notebook. He flipped to a dog-eared page near the middle. One Simon had marked with a series of tiny circles. Underneath, in tight writing, if L probes the bridge, redirect. Never reveal the true memory. Use the blood, the silence, the mask. These are safety anchors. She won't push past if you offer the right signals. He'd done it right. He'd followed the script. I'm not the only one with the notebook. I'm not the first to be here. Then he remembered something else. The basement. The one place Simon never described in detail. The Vianden basement. The torn photo wasn't just a location marker. It was a map overlay. He returned to the flat that night and laid the photo over a map of the castle's lower vaults. They aligned perfectly. One section of the cellar was unlisted, hidden beneath the east wall. Gorglate.
Day 33. If you want to know who you are, go where the others ended. That's where the pieces settle, where the false Simons come to die. Chapter 7. Identity Leak. Day 34. I caught my reflection mouthing words before I spoke them. The latency's widening. This identity, this borrowed skin, it's no longer fitting over my thoughts. Either I'm leaking through the mask, or it's leaking into me.
The morning light had no warmth. He stood in front of the mirror in the hotel bathroom, toothbrush hanging from his mouth, eyes fixed on his reflection. A subtle delay, just enough to disturb. When he raised his hand, the reflection matched, but he felt the hesitation. It was internal, visceral, like an echo out of sync. Is this a symptom? A side effect? Am I being watched through the mirror itself? He leaned closer. His eyes didn't look like his anymore. The green had faded, or had it? Had he stared too long to remember? His burner phone vibrated on the countertop. A message. Blocked sender. You reslipping. Protocol breach logged. Cease contact. Await extraction. His stomach turned. He had made no contact. Unless his lost session with Dr. L. Had she triggered something? Recorded something? How many eyes are watching this play? And which ones are real? He changed SIMs again. Third burner in as many days. This one, like the others, was programmed with only one contact, Axiom. He dialed it, knowing no one would answer. 3 rings. Then a mechanical voice, secure channel open, identify and report. He hesitated. Then he spoke. Phase shift active, ID breach suspected. Confirm safe house status, silence. Then, safe house compromised. Vienna fallback enabled. Report to Tier 3 node. Use alias package Harker. Do not retain prior identifiers. He killed the call. Another identity, another mask, another escape.
Day 34. Supplemental. The only thing harder than hiding a lie is living one that mutates. I've been Harker before, not in name, in rhythm, in isolation. The script remains the same, only the scenery changes. He had 24 hours before the Vienna node activated. He used that time to re-enter the Cheryl Muse townhouse one last time. It smelled like disuse now, like secrets left to mold. He checked the mirror room. Everything was exactly as he'd left it except for the photo. The photo of him at the library, it was gone. In its place, a new Polaroid, taken from a CCTV angle. He was standing in front of Dr. L's building, hands shaking, eyes wide, captioned beneath in red ink, leak confirmed, initiate collapse.
They were scrubbing the trail. They were going to erase this version of me. He tore the photo from the wall and burned it in the bathroom sink. Ash curled like fingers. Then he checked the closet one last time. Inside a jacket pocket, something hard, something he hadn't felt before. A flash drive, unmarked. He plugged it into Simon's old laptop, password prompt. He tried the cipher sequence from the leather pouch. 325144. The drive opened. Inside, a single video file. The screen showed a dimly lit hallway somewhere institutional. Simon, the real Simon, stood facing the camera, disheveled, gaunt, talking directly to the lens. "Whoever's watching this," he said, "you've made it further than most." He lit a cigarette with shaking fingers. "My name's not Simon. Never was. It's a name given to me by a dead man who took it from his handler." He exhaled smoke. "It's recursive. The name's just a vector, a way to keep continuity through identity destruction." He leaned forward. "If you're wearing the mask now, you've already failed." Then static.
Day 35. I met myself in a mirror that did not reflect, and now I'm being hunted by a man who wears my face better than I do. That's the problem with masks. They fit too many.
The police knocked that night. 2 detectives, civilian clothes, badges flashed but not shown. "Mr. Trellick?" one asked. He paused. "Yes? We'd like to ask you a few questions about a body found in Luxembourg. Cold sweat, of course. We'd prefer to do it at the station." He glanced at the hallway. No uniforms, no backup. They weren't here officially. He nodded slowly. "Let me just grab my coat." He stepped back inside, closed the door softly, then ran, out the fire escape, down the alley, across the bridge. He didn't look back until he'd reached the train station and boarded the first carriage to Vienna.
Day 36. Identity leak confirmed, redundancy active, extraction blocked. There is no Tier 3 node, there is no fallback, there is only the man who refuses to disappear. Chapter 8. The Party. Day 37. Masquerades are safer than mirrors. In a mask, you become anything. In a mirror, you are only yourself if you're lucky. If not, you see the other one. The one who watches you when your reflection is supposed to follow.
The invitation arrived inside a hollowed-out book, a copy of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy left at his Vienna hotel's front desk with no sender information. He cracked it open. Inside the carved pages, a silver embossed card. "You are cordially invited to the Vanishing Mask, anonymity required. Credentials optional. Trust discouraged." Below that, a single word Simon scrawled in cursive. No address, just coordinates. A trap, obviously, but one only meant for someone already deep inside the game. He loaded the coordinates, a private estate outside the city, nestled against a pine forest. No road signs, no visible security. He wore a dark suit, no tie, gloves, and a bone-white Venetian mask blank as a burial shroud. There was no RSVP, just presence. At the entrance, a woman in a black gown and mirror mask scanned him silently, then stepped aside. He was in. The party unfolded like a ritual. Masked guests floated through a hall lit by candles and soft jazz, their laughter too controlled to be real. Every movement rehearsed, every hand gesture deliberate. This wasn't a party, it was a convergence, an exchange of untraceable truths, and he wasn't the only one pretending to be Simon Trellick. In the gallery, he spotted a figure at the far end wearing a red half mask. The woman, the same one, or her double. She lifted a glass in silent acknowledgement. He moved toward her, weaving through dancers and soft whispers. But when he reached her spot, she was gone. In her place, a white envelope. He opened it. Inside, a single photo. 2 Simons, back to back, one holding a knife, the other smiling. Caption: "One of you must vanish. The mask does not share. Knorr." He retreated to a quiet corner. The notebook, always with him, slid from his coat like a habit. He flipped to day 37. Blank. But something was pressed between the pages. A napkin from the party, smudged with wine. Scrawled across it in ink, "I'm not wearing the mask anymore, you are."
Day 38. I no longer ask if I am Simon. I ask if Simon was ever one person. Maybe it was never a name. Maybe it's a pattern, a container, a virus that binds itself to belief.
A bell chimed at midnight. Guests turned. The music stopped. A figure emerged from the shadows on the balcony, tall, elegant, dressed like Simon. Only the mask was broken, cracked from brow to chin, exposing part of his face. The crowd began to clap slowly, then stopped. He spoke. "One of you is not invited." The room fell silent. He continued. "One of you wears the name without earning the weight." The masked crowd shifted uneasily. Then he raised a finger, pointed, directly at him. "You." Whispers rippled through the gallery. The woman in the red mask returned, stepping between them. She held up a hand. Protocol still applies, she said. He passed the trial. He is protected. No, the man said. He is mimicking protection. It's not the same. A pause. Then the woman turned to him. Her voice dropped. Leave now. Don't speak. Don't run. Just walk. He obeyed. Outside, the wind cut across the hilltop like a blade. His breath left clouds as he made his way down the gravel path to the forest's edge. Halfway there, his phone buzzed. A new message. You weren't the first to be pointed at. The ones before you vanished, but only the ones who stayed vanished completely. Gawker, Gornor. He didn't return to the hotel. He changed cities. He changed clothes. He changed names. And yet, he couldn't escape the next notebook entry. It appeared in his bag 3 days later. Same handwriting, his own.
Day 39. You can't outlive the mask. You just wear it longer than the last man. Chapter 9, The Mirror Room. Day 40. The mirror room isn't just a hiding place. It's a crucible. It takes everything you bring inside, memories, lies, fragments, and boils it down until only one truth remains. The person who walks out is never the one who walked in.
He returned to Sharrow Mews under cover of darkness. It had been weeks. The townhouse stood silent, empty, but not dead. The kind of silence that suggested breath held, not lost. He stepped inside and relocked the door behind him, pulled the curtains, shut off every light but one, a desk lamp in the lounge. He checked for signs of entry. Nothing, not visibly, but he could feel it. Something had changed. He climbed the stairs, stopped outside the bedroom door. Inside, the mirror still hung on the wall, its frame slightly crooked, just as he remembered. He approached slowly. His reflection stared back, cold, cautious, incomplete. I don't trust myself in this house anymore. He pressed the edge. The mirror clicked open. The room behind had changed. The compartment was larger now, or maybe it just felt deeper, like it extended into something beyond the house. He stepped inside. The walls were lined with new items. No passports, no Polaroids, only screens. 3 of them, each showing surveillance feeds. 1, the Vienna masquerade. 2, the therapy office. 3, a street in Berlin, someone pacing outside a bookstore. And in every frame, he was there, or a version of him. The screens blinked, switched. Now showed him standing in the mirror room, real time. Someone was watching him from inside this room. He spun no one, only a terminal, and a single file on the screen, Final Mask, Doc. He opened it.
If you're reading this, you are the last Simon. Not because you were real, but because you were willing. The others hesitated. You did not. You kept moving. You believed. That's the trick. Belief. Not in yourself, but in the lie. There is no extraction, no Vienna, no fallback node. There is only the person who stays in the room long enough to realize the game never ends. Congratulations.
He sat down slowly, facing the monitors. The live feed still showed him, still looping. But something flickered in the therapy office. The woman, Dr. L, was packing up, removing the photos from her walls, burning files in a waste bin. She looked directly into the camera, into him, and smiled. Then the feed cut to black, removing the files in a waste bin. He stood again, opened the drawer beside the terminal. Inside, a single mask, not blank this time. It had his face, constructed with eerie precision down to the hairline and faint scar above his left eyebrow. Attached to it, a folded note. If you don't wear it, someone else will. The mirror demands a guardian. He looked around, and finally noticed the chair in the corner. It had restraints, well worn, a groove in the floor from restless movement. He placed the mask back in the drawer and walked out, Orplin Gorza Ongermor.
Day 41. I've seen what happens to the ones who stay. They rot inside their own reflection. They stop asking who they are. They start remembering things that never happened. And worst of all, they begin to like it.
As he reached the street, his phone buzzed. A new contact appeared. Simon Liv. A message followed. He's returning. You have until midnight. After that, you read just another entry in the next file. He looked back at the house one last time. Then he walked toward the tube station. No bag, no disguise, no plan. Just the knowledge that the mirror room was no longer just a place, it was a test, and someone else was already on their way to take it. Chapter 10. The Confrontation.
Day 42. You can only run from your reflection for so long. Eventually it finds a way to catch up through memory, through fear, through the person who wears your face better than you do. When that moment comes, you don't fight it. You negotiate.
He arrived back in London under an assumed name, one not even Simon had ever used. The city felt changed, colder, every noise sharper, every glance heavier. By nightfall, he was standing outside the only place left unburned, an abandoned data center once tied to the Trellick files. According to the coordinates sent via the Simon Live channel, this was where it would happen, the confrontation. Inside, the building groaned like an old throat clearing. The lights barely worked. Rows of server racks stood dormant like tombstones. Dust hung in the air like memory, and in the center of it all, 2 chairs facing each other, one occupied. He stepped forward slowly, heartbeat heavy. The man in the other chair looked up and smiled. His face stared back, except calmer, older, more deliberate, more in control. The real Simon, or a better version, the man stood. "Well," he said, voice smooth. "You kept the notebook. That already makes you more qualified than half of them. You were not surprised. I'm not allowed to be." They stood in silence. Then Simon motioned to the other chair. "Sit." He sat. Simon reached into his coat and pulled out a folded sheet of paper, slid it across the table. "Do you know what this is?" He unfolded it. It was a consent form. Signed, Simon Trellick. Co-signed. Axiom Program Oversight. The witness line was blank. "Is this a contract?" "It's an inheritance," the man said, "of continuity. You were giving me the name." "No," Simon said. "You've already taken it. I'm just formalizing the loop." "What if I say no? What if I walk away?" Simon leaned forward. "You've worn the face, passed the parties, navigated the leak, saw the mirror room, and most importantly, you stayed curious. You set it all up." "No," he said. "The program is older than me. I'm just the last successful mask before you." "So this is a job?" Simon shook his head. "It's maintenance. We keep the Simon myth alive. It's what protects the data network, the drops, the ghost files. No central AI, no corporate backend. Just belief. One man passed on to the next, through ritual, through paranoia. You re-saying you were going to vanish? I already have," he said. "In 3 minutes, this building will be fire. No records, no feeds, just you with the mask. And if I don't take it?" Simon stood, walked behind the server rack, returned holding a mirror. He placed it on the table facing the younger man. "You already did." The reflection stared back, except this time the face didn't flinch. It fit. The silence stretched. Simon extended his hand, a glove. "I'm not here to recruit," he said. "I'm here to die."
Day 43, he handed me the glove and disappeared into flame. I didn't stay to watch. I didn't cry. I only did what all the Simons do. I turned and walked into the next life.
The fire was ruled electrical, no bodies recovered. The news ran the headline for 1 day, then forgot. He re-entered the townhouse with the new mask, installed new cameras, new drives, new signals. The notebook stayed the same. He opened to the final page. There, in Simon's handwriting, just 2 words, "Now you." He picked up the pen and began to write.
Day 44. My name is Simon Trellick. If you're rereading this, it means I'm already gone, which means you were either very lucky or very, very screwed. Epilogue. The diary continues. Day 1. New page, new hand, same name. The pen moves differently now, not rushed, not afraid, just precise, controlled. He sits at the glass desk in the mirror room, a steaming cup of black coffee beside him, and stares at the blank pages of a fresh black notebook, identical to the others, but unmarked, clean. The previous one lies beside it, closed, a rubber band around its spine. It will be archived later. Filed in the drawer labeled Successions, one of many, one of too few. He lifts the pen again. There were 14 before me. Only 6 made it to full loop. 1 left the program, 1 vanished, 4 were absorbed. I am the 15th mask.
He rises, walks to the mirror, and studies his reflection. This Simon is sharper. Hair cut tighter, jaw more defined, posture honed through repetition. He wears the skin as if it's tailored, and it is. He knows exactly who he needs to be now. Across London, protocols are updating. Secure drops receiving fresh cache data. Dummy corporations realigning. Passport batches scheduled for redistribution. The Simon program has resumed, and now he is the keeper of the flame.
They ask why we write it all down. Why we keep a handwritten diary in a world run by encryption and signal scrubbing. The answer is simple. The diary is the trap. It lures the next one in. It tells them everything just enough to make them believe they can do it better, and then it closes the door behind them. He returns to the desk, places the fresh notebook atop the previous one, then carefully, deliberately writes on the inside cover, "If you're rereading this, I'm already dead." He closes the cover, stands, and switches off the light. The end. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, ring the bell, and tell your friends about My Listening Library.